Welcome to Goddess Talk. Thank you to all of the amazing goddesses for being part of this platform to inspire and empower women, especially female entrepreneurs and women in business who are being greatly impacted at this time. You sharing your unique gifts, abilities, and insights is an integral part to motivate others to be strong, stay positive, and honor their own dreams at all times. My intention through these interviews is to empower women to awaken their inner goddess. Claim your power, recognize your highest potential, and live your best life. Hi, goddesses. Welcome to Goddess Talk. This is episode 7 with the amazing Crystal Fambrini. So we have an amazing goddess on today. I can't wait to introduce you to her. But in the meantime, welcome, Crystal. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. And you look gorgeous. And I love the whole setup you have is just awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. We were just talking about what a small world it is and the 6 degrees of separation and all of that. But I'm not going to waste any time because I could take the whole episode just reading your bio or your resume. So, girl, or goddess, I should say, you are fierce, and I can't wait to share all that you are doing with the audience here tonight. So with that being said, I'll just dive right in and then I'll go into some questions from there. But okay. So Crystal Fambrini, here she is. Are you ready? It's going to take a minute.
Oh my
She
gosh.
is an Oscar-nominated and 4-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, producer, TV host, Fox News national reporter, lifestyle model, and I'm just getting started. So are you ready for some more? She's a personal development consultant, podcast host, of Rock Solid, which I can't wait to talk about today. She is also, you'll see her media work has been featured on NBC, ABC, Fox, MTV, E, and the list goes on and on and on. She's also worked closely with ABC News Tonight anchor Peter Jennings, Dick Clark, former Vice President of the United States Al Gore, and not to mention numerous Academy Award-winning actors, Grammy artists, Olympians, Super Bowl champions, thought leaders, and my personal favorite, the Dalai Lama. So you're going to have to tell me that story so I can live that vicariously through you. So like I said, that doesn't even really like touch the surface, but it gives you an idea of what a goddess we have on the show tonight. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. And let me bring my dog up.
Oh yes, who is this? Please introduce.
He's Sunny, and he does, I'm in California, and the pet stores are closed right now, so he can't get a shave, but he definitely needs a summer cut. And when I sit in front of the computer with the lights on and talk to people, he always gets, like, FOMO, so he always likes to say hi. He's quiet any other time.
Yeah. I guess my goddess confession, I have a pug, but
oh, cute.
If you're familiar, they snore and they snort and they're really loud. And so every time I have her, everyone's like, what is that? Is she okay? Does she need to go to the doctor? So I have her upstairs with the kids right now. But yes.
How old is she? How old is your dog?
She's 16 and she's deaf and blind. So bless her heart, right? And her name is Bigaboo. She's about 8 pounds. That's pretty small for a pug. They're usually a lot bigger. So yeah.
So cute. I love it. I love it. By the way, thank you for reading my bio. It's so odd. I'm such a cheerleader for all my friends and everyone around me. And it's always like weird when someone else reads your bio, it made me blush. So, it's like, oh gosh. And made me be like, gosh, I'm like ADD with my work or something, doing a little bit of everything.
It's so impressive. And I just want to say for anyone who's tuning in today, if this is your first time on Goddess Talk, the intention here, this is to be a platform to inspire and empower women to claim your power, recognize your highest potential, and live your best goddess life. So I feel like you are just the epitome times 100 of all of that. So I know everyone is going to learn so much from you. And I just want to thank you for everything you have done and the example you are setting. And I know we're going to dive deeper into a lot of that, but it's just amazing to have you on tonight. So thank you for all your content. And I can't wait to talk about Rock Solid too.
Oh, thank you. It's so sweet. And I love that you have Goddess Talk. It's such a good name. I live in Venice Beach. And so all my friends are like, goddess this, goddess that. Have a goddess circle tonight. But, I love it. It is empowering. And I think as women, we get to use our voices more and we get to claim what we've done and really own it, because I seem to get like shy and don't want
I
to talk
know.
about it, but it's nice for us to come together.
So we could probably have a whole episode on that, on how we hide our magic. And so that's why I love this. I'm having so much fun having amazing women like yourself on, and let them, like, everyone get to know you a little bit better. And I think sometimes people even say things that a lot of people don't know because they have a platform to be seen and heard. And so thank you for, again, I just can't thank you enough. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna dive into the questions now. So just tell us more about you and your business and your platform and all of these great things that you're doing, because I just touched the surface.
Okay. Well, I was very fortunate that I feel like my whole life I've known my purpose, because I think purpose is so important. I mean, I was that girl at 6 years old that I just remember this. It was like one of my earliest memories, being 6 years old in my first grade classroom. People were telling secrets, and I'd go up to everyone and be like, tell me your secret, tell me your secret. And they'd be like, no, you tell everyone, you have such a big mouth. I was like, yeah, I'm practicing. I'm going to be a talk show host. So you need to tell me your secrets. And then I would just wear people down. And then when I was like 9, I made my mom hold like a big camcorder, and I would do like stand-ups in our backyard. And I think at the time I like was channeling like, where in the world is Carmen San Diego or something like that. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then I went to college, and I just had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do. And they didn't have a weekly news show at the time. So I created one, and that was a great experience. And then I just started doing things. If you want to be involved in entertainment, you just got to start creating and doing it. And that really ties into now, like being an influencer or being online, and you just got to do it. It's about progress, not perfection. So that's, I always try to channel my younger self, because I remember being like 19 years old, like knocking on the door. So yeah, I just started doing things. I would, I would pitch CNN on ideas, and they would laugh at me at first, or I wanted to do a talk show. So I executive produced a talk show, and I enrolled this woman into giving me money to do it. And then next thing I know, I'm taking the talk show to Dick Clark Productions, and I get to meet Dick Clark. And, I just have a lot of stories like that where I was knocking on doors and they would open, and that was awesome. And then as you get like later on in life, I feel like I didn't lose it, but I wouldn't be that way, And then I was like, wait a minute, when I was really young, I just didn't know better, So I would just ask people, because I think that that's part of the trick, collaboration and teamwork, and you just got to ask people. So I don't know, so I just, started doing local news in the morning. That was really hard because you have to wake up at like 1:30 in the morning. But I did that for like 6 months. I had a sports show, an extreme sports show. And then when I was in Los Angeles, I worked at Dick Clark Productions, helping talent like on talk shows and pitching ideas and working on all the award shows like the Emmys and the Country Music Awards. That was really neat. And like a fun fact I learned, because I worked in like every different area, because I thought it would be good for me to like sharpen my producing skills. So I worked in like music clearances. And I don't know if you know this, but if an artist writes a song, they have to approve it. So like if you want to use it, so like at that time I was working on So You Think You Can Dance. And I remember like we wanted to use like one of Madonna's songs. Well, we had to get approval from Madonna, and everyone else that helped write the song. So like I would be calling up the artists, like they just have these crazy stories of back in the day, how they'd have to like woo the artist to say yes to let them use the music on like one of Dick Clark's shows. But it's so neat. So I got to see like old school Hollywood.
I just love your fearless spirit and how you feel like you were so connected to it from a young age, and then you've just, that's kind of been your guiding light through all of this. And you mentioned, you created your own opportunities, and I feel like that's something that's so important. And that kind of is I don't know if you're done. I don't want to cut you off, but I just thought it was a great leeway into the next question, because I want to talk about quarantine. And for me, this has been a very powerful and transformative time, because I've been able to really create time and space for myself to hear that inner voice within me, and to create all these things that have been going on in my mind. So Goddess Talk being one, I don't know if it would be here otherwise. So I'm just so curious to know, like,
awesome.
Especially as this fearless creator that you are, how has quarantine affected you personally or professionally?
I feel like quarantine, there's a whole bunch of different sides to it, but for the creative process, I feel like I'm back in college again.
No, yeah.
And I like it. Meaning, like, I'm not on, like, I don't have I mean, we have a professional studio. I don't get to go to the professional studio. It's closed. You know, I can't record my podcast with my engineer and my team. I don't have a videographer. I don't, you know, which is fine, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like, here I am again, 20-year-old Crystal doing it all by myself. But what's cool about it is now we have Zoom and we have all these new types of technology, which is super neat. Like, one of my good girlfriends, today's World Meditation Day.
Yes, it is. Happy World Meditation Day.
She produced this event today, and it was live, and she did it from her house in Malibu, and it was with, and you know, we're doing social distancing, so not everyone's together. So she's at her place in Malibu, and then she enrolled Tony Robbins to be in it, Mike Tyson to be in it, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson.
Oh, my favorites. Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. It was supposed to be an hour and a half, and it ended up being like a lot longer than that, probably 2.5 hours today. And it was at 11 a.m.
Amazing.
But I thought, how neat is that? Like, only something like that would happen, this type of
Just a moment.
And so I was proud of my friend to see that. And then I have another friend who is with a famous photographer right now, and they are traveling across the country doing a charity book, and they are doing drive-bys where they're taking pictures of people out, you know, standing outside, driving by literally. And they call them in advance. They call them and interview them like on speakerphone for 15 minutes. And they're like, we're pulling up. And then they take pictures. And they have so many people, like Demi Moore. I actually got my boyfriend who's ER doctor in it, which is really neat. So he was at the hospital, and then him and another doctor and some nurses came out and they did a drive-by. But they're doing like this charity book. And so it's going to be a charity book and a documentary. And I, you know, I have a podcast network called The Direct Message, and I produce a lot of shows with talent who have millions of followers. And I had my own podcast for a while, but I paused it because I wanted to bring on other people. I wanted to make more money with it and access my friends who had a lot of followers. You know, it was easy to get the money first. And I wanted to come back to my podcast, but I hadn't yet. And during quarantine, I was like, I got to do stuff. I got to keep myself busy. So I started a new podcast that I'm doing called Rock Solid. And it's really, I love it. I feel like, I mean, I get to talk to my friends on Zoom and connect with them. It gives me a reason to put makeup on. It inspires me. And I think our conversations are interesting, and hopefully other people will too, you know? So it's a great time to experiment and take advantage of this time. And I have all these books. Have you heard of this one? Normal People?
No, but I am such a book nerd. Well, I love that. And I love that you're this fearless creator. I know.
I want to say something about that though, because when I first started out, I did get made fun of a bit. Well, I didn't think so. Like, being my naive younger self, I went to a hosting boot camp because I always like to take classes. I always like to learn.
Yes.
And so I went to this hosting boot camp, and I always like to be prepared. And I had put together my hosting reel because at that time I had done my extreme sports show. I'd done local news. So I had like a good little, 3-minute reel. And that day, the talent scout for E! News came in. And this was back in the day when hosting reels were on VHS tape. And I had a purple VHS tape. Like, my tape was purple. Like, I spent the extra money. So I had like a purple VHS tape and like really stand out. And I just thought it was so cool, which might be a little annoying to people. And so after the workshop, I was like, hey, here's my tape. She looked at me and she was like, oh, like, I can't believe you would just give me the tape, because you're supposed to like mail them in or like drop them off at the network at that time. And she was like, okay. And I just remember her being like really negative. And I was like, okay. Fast forward to like 4 months later, I get a call from her and she's like, hey, how are you? So I watched your tape and we'd like to book you. And I was working at Dick Clark at the time, at Dick Clark Productions. And I just remember being so excited. Like, yes, she gave me a chance. She actually, watched the tape, because I don't know, the look that she gave me at that time, she was like, who are you? And why do you think you can give me a tape? And then after she watched my tape and called me, she was so nice. So weird.
Of course, right? Of course. But I feel like you already knew, like, and I had taken some notes about your podcast, Rock Solid, and I love what you say. Like, what is it that makes you live a rock solid life? And so I didn't mean to jump around, but I just felt like it was prevalent to what you're saying. That for me, it made me question myself. Well, what does make me feel like my life is rock solid? And there's three things that I came up with, and one was that my purpose was bigger than me. And I feel like you have been really connected to your purpose from a very young age, and you have to be so unshakable in that no matter anyone's judgment or criticism or opinion or what external circumstances might come, you're unshakable in your belief. And I'm a big law of attraction junkie, and so I feel like you were calling all of those things in, but it starts with you, and it starts with your unshakable belief and that you are here with a bigger purpose and not giving your power away. You claim that power, and you hold it close, and you hold it dearly. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. That was something that you made me go, what is a rock solid life? And I never really questioned myself with that. So thank you.
I love it. Thank you. And when I was my 6-year-old self and I said, I want to be a talk show host, or, I'm going to be a reporter, what it was really about, because when you're older, you kind of figure this out. And I've done a lot of transformation workshops and communication workshops where we really broken all this stuff down. I love doing workshops.
Me too. Are you a Gemini?
No, a Leo.
Oh, you're a Leo?
Yeah, Leo. I like doing workshops. I just like always learning and doing projects. But it's really about connection and storytelling. And, I mentioned homeless people. I love talking to homeless people. I love doing stories on people who think that they don't have a voice. And I get to encourage them to really own their voice. And I consider it to be an honor to be able to tell their story and to use their voice and to portray it properly. So that's really what's underneath everything. It's not the glitz and glam. It's not, oh, look at me, me, me. And that's really why I consider myself more a producer than, a talent or an on-air reporter, because in order to be a good talent or, journalist, I feel like you need to be a good producer. And so that was just my side note.
No, I love that. And this kind of takes us on a whole nother topic, but I feel like going back to, again, your theme of your podcast and being rock solid, it's not about ego, it's about impact and how you connect to that, because that is what will lead you the way. That's ultimately what effortlessly opens doors, is when you're connected to your heart and you're putting that into the world. It's a magnet.
And then if you can follow your passion, and if you can make a career from your passion, how amazing. What a life. That's the dream for me. I think
definitely.
That's dream for a lot of people, right? So then you can actually enjoy what you're doing every single part of the day. And that's not always the case. We're not always going to enjoy everything, but that's the goal. That's what we want to strive towards.
Oh my gosh, you're like effortlessly leading into the next question so seamlessly, because I feel like there is a limiting belief out there that you can't do what you love and be provided for in abundance. Like you can't. I believe that when you're connected to your joy is your power, and that's where miracles come from. And you can do anything when you're connected to that joy. So it's kind of a self-limiting belief, or maybe it's just a common belief system that needs to be corrected at this time. So I'm just curious, in your amazing, successful career, what is a self-limiting belief that you noticed or that you came across, and then when you transformed it, it really, changed your life, your mindset, or opportunities?
Oh, okay. Well, I think a big one is the false belief that just because someone's in a position of power or has a fancy title or has a big budget or has a lot of money, that they're better than you. And that's not the case. I feel like, in production, in life, it's really about team. It's not about it's about we. And once you can break through that and realize your value, and when you talk with people and pitch people ideas, it's an opportunity to connect and to do good for both sides. I think that's really helpful, because if you walk into like an audition, or if you're walking in and talking to someone really super famous, and you start to get in your head and think, oh my God, they're so much better than me. Why am I getting to talk to them? All that. it's not going to go well.
It made me think about worthiness. And when we look at someone outside of ourselves and we think, oh, there's so much more, well esteemed than me, they have more accomplishments, they are better than me. It comes down to your worthiness and that you don't believe you're enough, or that, along those lines. And I think that is such a misconception that I know that's the whole reason I have Goddess Talk. It's because this is a platform for us to share our strengths, to share what we think are our perceived failures, but more importantly, our abilities and our gifts and our talents, because we are all special. I think there's a quote by J.K. Rowling that says there's magic that lives within all of us. And, who are we to judge whose magic is more than the other? So I love that you said that. And
I think there's thank you. I think there's one thing to point out, though, that when you go into a meeting and if you're pitching an idea or if you're working with someone, yes, you both are valuable. You both bring, you're both worthy, but also there has to be a respect. Meaning if the person is bringing millions of dollars, or the person is, Oscar award winning or whatever, sometimes it is good to be quiet and let them talk and not,
Oh yeah.
That fine line, where they're like, even though you think you could do it, maybe it's better to just let them think that they, can tell you what to do too. It's sometimes. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I was listening to your segment with Tracy, and it was about intuition and being an empath. And I feel like, so kind of going off on a whole nother subject right now, but you have to be aware of the people around you, and you want to respect the energy and the intention that they're in the room with, or whatever you're doing. And I feel like as women, we do have kind of this superpower to be a little more in tune with that. But we also want to respect the person with us, but also respect ourselves at the same time. And finding that boundary is always, I guess, the magic secret. But I didn't mean to get off on that. I feel like we could definitely go into intuition and empaths for a whole nother episode. But I did listen to that, and I thought it was a great conversation that y'all had.
Yeah, and you're referring to actress Tracy Bregman, who's a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
And we always laugh because we used to have, before our house burned down in Malibu, our house burned down in Malibu a year and a half ago, which was tragic. And one of our favorite things to do prior to that was to sit. She had this little nook with a big table and big windows, and we'd sit there and have tea, and we would just talk. And we'd talk about intuition and, goddess time. And then our conversation would be all over the place. Yeah. We could be laughing, we could be crying. And then, so you would fit right in with our conversation. That's go everywhere. But that's, it's fun. Yeah. Don't limit ourselves.
No. So going back to self-limiting beliefs. So you felt like, well, the other thing you said just about respecting the other person, and I just love, the term namaste, because it's like the light in me honors the light in you. And if we could all just come together and always, see each other for the light we're bringing, and not let ego get in the way that I'm better, or you're better, or your idea is better, or my idea is better. It's just like, how do we bring it all together to make something new that benefits the highest good? So, but going back, I know, I'm just so curious if there was like a fear or a childhood fear, because you are the fearless one, as we all know. What was there anything that held you back at all?
That held me back from,
like maybe,
like, oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, just like that, those moments where, and it kind of goes into the next question about getting outside your comfort zone. Like any moment where you felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that, but you did it anyway, where you kind of conquered that inner fear or that inner critic that sometimes we hear.
Yeah, my mom says that I am overly confident.
But you're a Leo.
So I will say I can do anything, even if I can't. And they actually teach you in improv, you're supposed to always be like, yes, and. You're never supposed to say, no, I can't do that, or no, I don't want to play it that way. It's just yes, and. And I think I work well in Hollywood because of that. I've had some crazy requests. Like one time I had, Justin Timberlake's team call me. This is prior to me meeting Justin. And literally they were like, Justin needs a truckload of clothes in the next hour at this, location because we're going to do this shoot. Do you want to come on board? Can you do this? I said, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Yes, and.
Yeah. And I hung up and I'm like, what the hell? You know, I had no idea. And then I just started calling everyone I knew. Like, I need everything that you have. Like, send me all of your clothes, whatever. And an hour later, I show up and meet Justin and his team. And I had like a truckload of stuff. And they were so impressed.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm not saying that to be like, oh, look at me. I was like, oh, okay. I did it. Thank heavens. Like, I guess the point of that is I don't limit myself, actually. I'm just like, yes, I would rather fail and have someone fire me or be like, Crystal, you said you could do it. What happened? But I also am so determined to come through that I don't think I've experienced something that hasn't worked, because I don't make that an option for myself. I'll pivot or change it, but I'm pretty determined.
No, I love it.
They're scary when you get those random calls, and I'm always getting those random calls for different projects, and I'm just like, okay.
No, I love it. I think you're just this great testimony to the power of a positive mindset and a belief system within yourself. And I think there's so many women out there who struggle with that. And so you're just this testament to believe in themselves and to create that space and that time for themselves to put themselves first, or, to what would your advice be to someone who didn't have such that fearless mindset?
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Be it so you can become it, you got to get yourself there. You got to get your mental head in the game. And that's why I think I started my podcast, Rock Solid, and it is, in the mental health category, because I think your mindset is everything. What you believe that you are is what's going to happen. Like, thoughts become things, or manifesting things. Like,
yes.
You can say it in all different types of ways, but you are your own creator. You
Mm-hmm.
have the power to get what you want if you truly believe it. And if you don't truly believe it, if you're not getting something, if something's not working for you, you need to go inside and check yourself and review everything. Am I really doing everything to the best of my ability? Am I really paying attention to the people around me that can help get me there? Have I dropped my ego, and asked for help or support? Can I take a look at my talent and my work in a constructive way to help, get myself to grow? Can I admit when I failed? And a failure is only a failure when you stop trying, right? If you can turn the failure into a win, you can keep going. So you have to, have self-awareness, and that all comes with being rock solid, really. I mean,
yes.
As a woman,
yes.
I've had times when I was 23, I mean, I was in really good shape, and I was on set at a studio, and I had a director come up to me and put his hand on my waist and grab the side of my waist and be like, you need to do something about that, And that, I mean, I've had lots of stories like that, and it happens all the time. And that was an incident where I could have taken it personally, or I could have broken down, and I was just like, okay, thank you, and people might think that that's a little much.
Thank you. That shows me who you are, not who I am, right?
I don't know. I guess a little bit of, I mean, if you want to be on TV, it's a physical appearance game. You have to be willing to hear those things. I also, when you're young and just starting out and you don't have a resume, people are so mean. They will tell you exactly what they're thinking, And then I had people be like, you're going to make it, but your friend's not. You should drop your friend. And that friend is now, a national news reporter who's doing fantastic, right? I didn't drop her, but people say mean things. Or one time I was, reading the teleprompter, and a woman was screaming, like, you don't know how to speak. You need to put a pencil on your tongue. Have you ever done this exercise before?
I don't think I have.
She was like, we need to stop. You need to practice. You need to put rocks in your mouth and be able to pronounce while you have rocks in your mouth.
Oh,
or you need to put a pencil underneath your tongue and then read the script. But I've had people do weird things, and where I felt like I wanted to cry, but I'm like, okay, because they think that they're helping me, right? Or they think they're getting the best. I don't know. It's just, you got to be mentally sound. It's a tough industry. And right now it's a tough world. I mean, all of us are feeling it, It's a really interesting time. It's just, I don't know, and my stories are funny and superficial compared to, you know, my boyfriend's an ER doctor. He's working with COVID patients. Like, he's worried
Oh,
about
wow.
getting infected on a daily basis.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, thank you to him for sure. You said something, you said self-awareness, and I just want to bring that to the forefront because I'm in Alabama and
Love it.
I think especially Southern women, we kind of find, or the norm is to find our value in how happy the people are around us. So I am valuable because my husband is happy. I am valuable today because my kids are happy. I am valuable today because I, you know, exhausted myself for everybody else. And so I heard you say just, you know, it's self-awareness. And so you have to kind of step out of a box sometimes if you find yourself in that position. Are you finding your value in the happiness of everyone else around you? Or are you finding your value because you've given yourself the time to know who you are and what you want and what you want to do and give power to that? So again, your story is just really inspirational. I know to so many people who are listening to who have these big dreams that are living within them, but then how do you put it out into the world? And I think you're showing everyone just to believe in themselves. So again, thank you for this mindset conversation and talking about self-awareness and creation, what you create and co-creating your reality, and ultimately the success that comes from it. So not only talk the talk, walk the walk.
Yeah, and not limit yourself, just do it. Like I have conversations with my friends all the time. Like, you want to do that? You want to create it? Just do it. And then they'll have all these excuses like, oh, excuses. I don't have the right gear, or I don't have the right time, or when I lose a couple pounds, or, you know, when my relationship is better with my partner. And it's just like, why? I mean, you can do all of it, you know, at the same time. Have you ever heard of like, you know, stretching yourself, like having more on your plate? And I don't know, the people that really impress me are the ones, I mean, I'm really looking forward to entering the next phase of my life where I can be a mom and a working mom. And I say that in a way that freaks me out because I know how busy I am now, and I don't understand how moms can have babies and still work. It just blows my mind. I mean, I give it to them. I mean, it's just like, they're just like superhuman strength. So I'm looking forward to learning those mommy secrets.
Well,
I mean, how do you do it? You have kids that have husband, and you know, you're doing your creative. I mean, how do you balance all of that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a single parent, so it's, you know, there's some days that are better than others. But you know, at the end of the day, oh my gosh, they're my biggest cheerleaders, and I don't know what I would do without them. And I think being a single parent too, it's even more empowering for me to do these types of shows or to talk to women and to share all the great things that they're doing everyone has this light that they are here to shine into the world, and I just want to help everyone tell that story. I think the number one human desire is to be seen and heard, and how as women do we all go further faster if we don't highlight each other, because sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. So
yeah. And I mean, I had a time where I would binge watch The Housewives, you know, like the Beverly Hills Housewives.
Yes, guilty pleasure, I admit.
I mean, I like those shows, but at a certain point, sometimes they started to annoy me because all these fabulous women would be fighting with each other. And, you know, and that's drama, and, you know, it would work for the ratings and we'd watch it and it's interesting. But then I was like, can't there be shows where the women, a group of friends, are supporting each other, are being their best friends? Like, why do they have to have so much drama? Well, there's a great show. Have you watched Yummy Mummies?
No.
Okay, I love it. Okay, it's a reality show, kind of like the Housewives, but it's like these early 30-year-old moms, like new moms. Like for season 1, they're all pregnant together, and then they all have babies, and you know, you go through the process, and they're called Yummy Mummies, and it's based in Australia. It's now super popular in Australia. It's on Netflix.
Oh my gosh.
I really enjoy it. I like the accents, and they're just fun and positive. Like I'm watching the show the whole entire time smiling. I'm like, yeah, why? We need some more shows like this in America.
So true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. We'll call it rock solid goddess talk or something, right? We'll combine women empowering women. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But yes, I
Yeah.
totally agree. But you said something about excuses, and there is a quote, and I just love this. It says, "Put yourself in a position to sink or swim. This is what you'll learn. You'll learn you have great swimming skills." And I love that, because it's just like, stop having the excuses, just dive in and see what you're made of, because that's the only way you're really going to do it. So I love that quote. It's from The Instant Millionaire. I don't know who the author is, but
I love that. That's great too. And you got to be really clear with what you want to do. And maybe you're not doing something, you're not creating something because you don't really want to do that. And that's, you know, and you're just kidding with yourself. Like when I first moved to Hollywood, I always said I'd be homeless, you know, like I moved to LA, you know, I just had everything I owned in a car, and I slept on my friend's couch for a couple days. And then I luckily got a job right away and all that, but I was willing to do whatever it took. Yeah. And during my career, on those low moments, I still felt that way. I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. And not everyone's like that. Some people have like a different threshold. Like, I don't want to be doing this for whatever it takes. I want to have a house, or I want to be a young mom, or I want to do, and that's great. Like, as long as you get clear on what you want and go after it, like, you know, there's no right or wrong if you know, you're following your passion.
Absolutely. And actually, one of the other things I thought about when I was thinking about having a rock solid life, the book I'm reading now, it's an oldie. It's the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, How to Fulfill Your Dreams, or something like that. And I won't go into all the 7 laws, but the first one is the law of pure potential. And it's just about, do you give yourself the time to think, what is the best case scenario? What is all the potential that could come if you gave yourself just permission to try? So I love that. I play a game in some of my coaching sessions. I'll do the what if game. So it's like, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid I'll fail. Okay, what if you succeed? And then what if, whatever the next question is, and you just keep like expanding your mind with what if, to go in this direction, the positivity and all the amazing potential that it has, versus the fear spectrum. And then at the end, you know, like, whoa. But then they actually open their mind and their heart to what can happen, instead of these fear-based thoughts. So anyway.
You know, you had me think of something when you were talking about the limiting of beliefs. When I like was pitching TV shows, some of the feedback that I would get from people is think bigger. Or I'd be in a production room with, like, you know, my friend, like a billionaire friend, and he'd be like, I want to have this party. And I would pitch this idea. And he's like, no, I want to have the party. Like, think as big as possible. And so I found myself in these circumstances where people were telling me to think bigger. And I was like, I thought I was thinking pretty big. And they're like, no, you have to think the biggest possible. And it was kind of hard for me to break through that at first, because I was like, well, I don't want to be pitching these completely unrealistic ideas. And the feedback on that was, who said that they're unrealistic? Like, look at how negative you are. I'm not negative.
Yeah,
they're like, they're like, we're asking you to, you know, give us the biggest idea possible. And then I find they're like, look, we want to know what the biggest idea is, and then we can always take it down, you know? But like, let's start with what's the most possible, and then we can go from here, And that's the same with, like, when I was doing like a broadcasting workshop and like hosting and how to be like a good host. This instructor said, you know, and I don't necessarily believe this, but it was good feedback. Like, when you go into an audition and they say give personality, don't be afraid to go up here, like give like crazy personality, because they can always say, okay, can you like tame it down to like less personality, you know? Because if you go in at like a 50%, they'll think that your 50% is your 100%. So, and if you're limiting yourself before you even talk to people, gosh.
Oh my God. I know, I love this, because I'm thinking
I'll do it.
Through this interview, you know, I can tell you're just such an optimist. So I was thinking, here you are, this huge optimist. You go into a room and you're surrounded with people who are challenging you, this huge optimist, to go bigger. So I'm thinking of us in these circles of women that we have, are our friends. And do we find ourselves surrounded by people who dim our light and bring us like kind of close that optimism or the potential? Or what if we were what if we were surrounding ourselves with people with who just keep dreaming bigger and bigger and challenge us to think of what is that infinite possibility, what is that infinite potential within ourselves, and then we could mirror that back to them. I mean, it'd be a whole different world if we could all just surround ourselves with that.
Yeah, and like for another example, so the podcast network I have, the shows that we represent get 100,000 views within 48 hours and get millions of downloads. And we have a form on our website that says like you can submit your podcast to be considered for the network. And I had this person submit themselves, and I responded because I just really appreciated how they presented themselves. And so I asked them, like, well, let me ask you, how many people listen to your podcast? And he responded back, 6 people listen. And I laughed when I read it because I already knew that like not that many people, had been listening. But I gave him some feedback and I gave him some tips. And I said, well, if you want to keep doing it, this is what I recommend. But the reason why I responded back to that person is because when I went to their podcast and I saw it and I was laughing because I was like, this guy has like no audience, but he has the confidence to email me and be like, represent me, I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to him. Like,
yeah, you got to love it. Well, I think that you connected to that spirit, that yeah. From your childhood, but it is like so many things are coachable, but it's that burning desire that really kind of separates people from the rest.
And I think now during COVID, like when you're seeing A-listers starting YouTube pages, when you're seeing, people, everyone's on Zoom, there's no excuse if you want to start a project like on the same level right now. Like it's a great time to jump in.
Quarantine has ruled out all the excuses for sure.
Isn't it so neat? Like before, I wouldn't do Zooms before. Like literally 6 months ago, I was like, I will not do an interview. Like you have to book me in the
One
studio.
moment.
Like how snobby was I? Now I'm like, oh, I love Zoom. Like, are we ever gonna go back to studios?
I know, right? It's opened up a whole new world of potential and possibility to do things differently.
I mean, when you see the ladies at the View, like talking to each other from their living rooms.
It's amazing. It is amazing. It's a whole new world for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I have a couple more questions for you, and then I have one surprise at the end. But what is your goddess tip or trick that maybe you can't live without that our audience must know?
Oh, my goddess tip or trick?
Your goddess tip or trick.
My goddess tip or trick.
It can be, mind, body, soul, just any kind of something maybe you do every day that you couldn't live without.
Okay, well, what I do every day, and I share a lot about this on social media, but I'm obsessed with walking every day.
Me too. If I don't do it.
Yeah, I know it sounds so silly, but I love waking up in the morning and going on a walk, like at least 3 miles, and I like to go 5 miles a day walking, and I can walk and talk. It just gets me going. And I think it's really important to eat really well, because you got to love yourself first before you can focus out. So I think if you just do those little things, I really believe in eating really clean, simple. I don't think that you need to do crazy workouts. I don't think you need to make crazy meals. I think you just eat clean, and I think you just walk and love yourself, tell yourself, loving thoughts, and, that'll really help you in life.
I love that. And since it is World Meditation Day, I love to do walking meditations. I know there's all sorts of different ways, and people kind of have the mindset that you have to be still or sitting, and it's not. Like you can be walking and be in nature. That's my favorite thing to do. And then
I love listening to chakra music. Do you know about chakra music?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
About eating, I was going to say, like, I'm a big intuitive. I'm a vegetarian, veganish, but I'm also I'm really intuitive eating. So I always associate foods with the chakras and all of that.
I want to learn more about that. I've been hearing about that lately. Like, there's my dog again, about intuitive eating, and I don't understand what that is, so I can't wait to learn about it. Have you done a podcast on it?
No, but I want to, so I'll definitely will.
Yeah, let me know when that podcast comes out, and I will do my walking meditation listening to you, so I can learn about intuitive eating.
Love it. Well, so we've got one more question, and that's just, who is the favorite goddess in your life? And that can be a person, or it could be a mythological goddess as well.
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. Who is my favorite goddess in my life? Well, I mean, that is a complicated one, because, I have to say my mom.
Hi, Mom.
I love my mom. I mean, I don't know. But I just, I like to do many things, and I have many friends, and I love my goddess friends.
Your goddess tribe. How about that, right? Yeah, it's a tribe.
I guess, I know, it's so weird. It's like, I used to make fun of people that said goddess and tribe, and why are they so happy? And then you do these workshops, and you're like, yes.
And here you are on Goddess Talk. Who knew, right?
I know. I have a goddess, and I have a tribe. I have a dream catcher.
I know. I love dream catchers, and I meant to say something earlier, but I love the dream catcher.
I actually made that with my mom.
Did you?
Yeah, it has a little crystal in the middle of it. I need to change out, and it has feathers, and it has dried roses. I need to change out the dried roses.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to show my daughter. She drew me a dream catcher for Mother's Day, so I have it framed in.
They're so easy to make, They're expensive to buy, easy to make.
You're going to have to tell me how. I'll share my intuitive eating tricks, and you tell me how to make the dream catcher.
Yeah, that's super fun. Yeah, you'll get into it. It'll be a great project for you guys.
Yes, for sure. Well, so I saw on your podcast that you would do this kind of speed quiz at the end, and I loved it. So I wanted to throw in a speed quiz for you.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So are you ready? We'll go pretty fast.
I'm ready. Okay.
Okay. What has been your favorite job?
My favorite, working at Current TV.
Awesome.
Which is Al Gore's network. Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a Nashville girl as well. So he has his Nashville roots. So anyway, getting off the speed quiz. What has been your least favorite job?
Oh, my least favorite job? Oh, that's a good one. I think when I tried to have a non-TV job for a couple days, and I decided to work at a club where I got people's signatures for something, and guys were slapping my ass, guys are slapping my butt and touching me, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't know how these girls can work in these clubs. This is horrible.
Oh my gosh. So
and I didn't need to do it. I had 4 other jobs. I just thought it would be fun to do it. I was like, well, I like going out to the club, so why don't I be working while I'm at the clubs? Multitask. And then I'd go around and talk to people. But then I was like, just because I'm working here, you think you can touch me? And I did not last long. I think I did it 2 weekends.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Who knew?
I did do it.
Favorite food?
Oh, eggs. I eat eggs every single day.
Really? Okay, favorite book?
Oh, favorite book? Oh, that's a hard one. I have so many books that I like. I don't know what my favorite book is.
Nothing like being on the spot, right?
I like the 4 Agreements.
Oh, that's a great one, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote?
Yes. Or saying.
Oh, my
slogan.
favorite. Oh, well, Tracy actually told me what my saying is the other day.
What?
She said, that's the cover of your book. I always say, we shall see.
We shall see. Oh, yes, you do need a book. I think that's the only thing that's not on your bio yet. Or is it? And I missed it.
I've written books, actually, and I've sent them to publishers, and they liked them. I have this, I haven't made them public because I don't think they're ready. It's a weird artist in me with that.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's your goddess secret for the show. There is a book in the works. There's a book out there. And I heard this because I listened to your podcast, but Celebrity Crush.
Oh, yeah. Seth Rogen. Can you believe we had the same crush? I thought I was weird with that one.
Amazing. And I mean, that is a unique one. Seth Rogen, everyone, if you didn't hear.
It's so weird. I know. He's just one. I probably have several, but yeah, he's one.
Tell us number 2.
Oh, number 2. Oh, Ben Affleck. Bad boy Ben.
Hey, it is what it is, right? I'm a Channing Tatum girl, so.
Oh, yes.
What? And I hear he is an Alabama boy, but who knows? I don't know how that's possible, but that's the rumor. But and then last of the speed quiz, your most used emoji. I love that one, by the way.
Oh, my most used emoji? Oh, I must do, I think I do hearts all the time. Just
love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. I know you have such a busy schedule, and thank you for including Goddess Talk within that. And you, like, I know you're such an inspiration to so many, and I am honored that you spent some time with us. So I will be in touch. We'll talk intuitive eating and dream catcher making soon.
Yes, so we're now friends now, which is great. Fantastic.
Yes, I love it. The universe has brought us together. So thank you again. And for everyone watching, that's it for episode 7 with the amazing goddess Crystal Fambrini. And I know you have all taken away something that helps you claim your power, recognize your highest potential, and live your best goddess life. Bye, goddesses.
I love it. Bye. Thank you.
Talk soon.